printed a copy. I didn't know there'd be some in here when you had first sent it. Does anyone need another copy or a copy of this? If you get one,
It's in the packet.
These two. I know you've seen it, Rick, obviously, because you put it in the packet probably, but that's extra.
It's on the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Not the top. I sent him the Zoom.
I told him that we were over 30 minutes in.
Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Goldendale City Council for June 2nd. Shelley, would you please take roll call?
Johnson.
Here.
Meeker. Kelly Casey. Andy Holm.
Here.
Here.
Here. Thanks. Do we have a motion to excuse Ellie Casey and Dion Wheel?
Did they, either of them?
Ellie did. Ellie contacted me earlier today because she's out of town for a work issue.
I talked to the owner of Meter and she said she would be on Zoom, but she's not there yet.
Okay. I make a motion to excuse the two council members that are not here present.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thanks everyone. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's closed public comment. Is there anyone here or on the line that would like to make a public comment on items on our agenda? Nobody has their hands up online. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda.
The agenda and consent agenda is presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's okay. We'll move on to the next item is department reports. And we'll start over here with Police Chief Mike Smith.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Couple things were caseloads are up to 1,445. So today, last month of May, we had 25 arrests and 325 calls for service just in the month of May. Two of those arrests were for thefts. One arrest was property damage. We had 2 arrests for no contact violations. We had 10 arrests for assault DVs. Those are domestic violence. We had 2 MIP arrests. We had 1 warrant arrest, 1 disorderly arrest, 2 weapons offense arrests, 1 trespass arrest, and 1 traffic related arrest. And so it's been pretty busy. That's the busiest month we've had all year. It's been kind of pretty crazy. The summer's not here yet, and so we're just trying to hold on to the reins and keep stuff done. I also brought a little flyer, came out just kind of what the flock systems can do. This is 3 missing children. Their dad took them. They got the plate, came up on a flock camera. You can see the little bottom there. So they're able to identify the truck where it was and get people back. So that's this little sub it does. Hopefully the next month or so they should be up and rolling. We're still waiting to hear back. I talked to the techs that are installing them. Just waiting for the finalized date. They have a few, but nothing's for sure yet. Got a whole electrician to do the little tie-ins, and so once that's done, I also looked at the COPS grant that I talked about before. We came to an issue right now with the COPS grant because they only supply 125,000 over a 3-year period, not per year. And so there is some tie-ins. So the city would have to come. I'd have to find another $60,000 per year in funds just to run that 3 years before we'd be able to absorb that. I don't have that in my budget. We're working with the financial advisor group to see if there's a possible way of that. I don't see it at this time. So at this point, I'm holding off on that. Hopefully they'll come back again and find another way to fund that, unless somebody knows other ideas to find more funding. I know we talked about the other sales tax, that big help to the police department to be able to fund more things. So it's gonna be needed, like I said, with the numbers we have now, with the amount of arrests that we've been making. I mean, it's everything we can do to keep the reins as it's going. So other than that, great day.
Couple of questions. One with the plot cameras, there was a poorly written article a while back somewhere that I saw stating that data would be available to folks, but the data that's collected on that is only pulled up and utilized if there's an issue. So if essentially like you get a truck with a kidnapping and then they look for that particular vehicle and that data is available versus all the data being
Yeah,
available.
we're not monitoring all.
You don't have access to it, do you? Isn't it maintained by?
I could probably watch it live, but there's no reason to have to care unless it committed. Also, if we would have block cameras, you guys seen the county pursuit they just had last night. It actually went through Goldendale. It was actually involved in, I believe, involved in burglary in Appleton area. If we would have the block cameras system, that was a stolen truck. At the end of the day, well, that truck would have came through, been able to be picked up before it actually made it probably through town. So, that's kind of the point of that before we stop a crime before it happens. Because most people view burglaries that they're stealing cars, they're coming from the valley, they're coming to our area because we don't have the technology, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the police force that the big cities do. So they will come from Yakima, do the burglaries here, hit the highway and go. So.
And then the cops grant, was that 125,000 each of the 3 years?
No, it's for all 3 years.
All 3 years.
So it will fund us about 40,000 a year. Okay. And then all the other requirements we meet were in that. And when I talked to the people from the cops grant, they actually explained that more people on the East Coast are taking that because they pay less. The problem we have is, again, in the cops grant, you have to mandate working with Homeland Security and ICE, which I'm more than willing to do on both of those issues. And so a lot of Washington, Oregon, and California aren't accepting that grant. So there's a better chance for us to get it. But the problem is it only funds that 40,000 a year. It's about 100,000, 100 so thousand a year with benefits and wages to fund that position. So that'd be another additional 60,000 per year, which I haven't counted yet. So.
And then the full amount after the
After 3 years, you have to absorb the full. So.
But it does leverage funds, right? And then you put out 60,000 a year to bring in 125 for 3, is that correct?
Yeah.
I guess just to, you referenced the sales tax, be interested to look at the number of calls, type of calls over time, last 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, versus budget, and just be able to compare that. Just information for the community to have when they make a decision.
Thanks, Chief. From the Goldendale Fire Department, Juliana Ontiveros.
The burn ban went into effect today, for countywide actually. And then we are working on, this week, the pump and ladder testing on our engines. They started up today and, on the way here, I found out in 61, our one did not pass. I don't have any information other than it didn't pass, but, yeah, so there's that. But that is, testing that we do and it affects our insurance rate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Didn't mean to throw it at.
Okay.
Real quick, so we just got the new insurance rating, so this won't affect it yet,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So when's the next time we get looked at for that? Do you know? Okay. So if that ends up, if that one engine or that one tanker, whatever it is, ends up getting fixed or passing, then it won't affect it by the next time? Okay.
He's not sure, at this point, he said he might have to send it, they have it, at this point, we're sure he just found out. So we haven't had a chance to get the information.
Thank
City Administrator Sandy Wells.
Just a couple things. So the house that's on Railroad that had fire a couple years ago, the new property owner just filed for a demolition permit to have that house. So it's a 60-day permit. I mean, they can do an extension if they don't get it down, but that does have a demo permit now, so hopefully get that started. And then, as some of you may have noticed, then the trees on Broadway and Mill are down and stumps are out. So those are all taken down.
That's good. Making progress.
I drove down there, they had pulled out the street there, all of a sudden I could see the ends of the earth.
Yeah, I know it. I did
Yeah,
the same thing.
Quite a bit different.
I just had a couple updates from our ordinance committee meeting last week. Last week, we met with Rick Lundeen in regards to the suggested airport fees. And so we should have a recommended ordinance for that at the next meeting. The ordinance committee is also working on a resolution recommendation for a 0.1% sales tax that we talked about last week, and for public safety. And so we are working on getting some more information for the committee, and then the committee can get a recommendation to the council, and hopefully we'll have that on the next agenda as well. Okay, that's all I have for now, and we'll move on to council business. And first item on council of business is the master interlocal service agreement with Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Council. That's the RTC. Anyways, I'll go over this explanation so it's on the record. In January of 2025, the Southwest Washington Transportation Council learned about a grant opportunity and submitted an application. The city of Goldendale identified a need to improve sidewalk conditions and pedestrian connectivity within the city right away. This project aims to address those concerns by improving accessibility and walkability through better data and informed planning. With support from the grant, the City of Goldendale will collect detailed information about sidewalk widths, surface issues, and barriers to pedestrian travel. This data will be added to the statewide OS Connect data set and used by local leaders to prioritize future sidewalk improvements. As the seat of Clickitat County, Goldendale currently lacks verified information on its sidewalk, and this project will help fill that gap. And on the line, we'll have Adam Fiss to discuss this grant and answer any questions you might have. Adam, are you there?
Yeah, good evening. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Great. Yes, thanks, Adam.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. My name is Adam Fiss, and as the mayor mentioned, this is a grant opportunity we came across in January of this year. Through a conversation with Sandy, her team, and the folks at MCED, who are also leading a similar grant, identifying conditions of bus shelters across Skamania and Klickitat. We decided to go for it. We asked for the maximum amount of money available under this tier of grant, which is $10,000. And somewhat to our surprise, we were awarded the amount. In the last few months, we've worked with Goldendale staff to figure out how we're going to get this done. The nature of the grant is such that once you start collecting the information, they will distribute the funds. The local interlocal agreement before you is just the tool that we use, the legal mechanism that once we get these funds, we can just send it to you to reimburse you for the time that you're putting into it. It's a standard agreement that we have with many of our member agencies. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm here to talk about it. But as I say, we've been working closely with staff to figure out how to make this happen. It is a planning exercise, but what we hope to come out of it is a good picture of what the needs are in Goldendale, and then go after some funds in future years. We believe that this grant program is well suited for things like that, for getting construction funds through state or federal means. So please let me know if you have any questions. As I say, my name is Adam Fiss, and I work with the Regional Transportation Planning Organization, RTC.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, Steve, did you have a question, Brandon?
Yeah, one first question here. Well, first of all, thanks for being with us tonight, Adam. We appreciate it. Could you explain what they're referring to here by that one part where it says connectivity within the city right of way?
Yeah, so we're looking at the pedestrian space. So we're looking at people that are walking and rolling, whether they have wheelchairs or mobility devices. We're looking at sidewalks and we're looking at crosswalks primarily. If there are curb cuts, if there's a curb on the sidewalk, we're looking at what the angle and condition is to make sure it is ADA compliant or American with Disabilities Act compliant. So,
So in other words, that refers to where the sidewalk actually
yes,
crosses the city easement or right of way to get to the street,
yes,
that portion. Oh,
yes,
okay.
yeah. We're looking just at sidewalks and crosswalks, all publicly accessible areas.
Okay, and this includes all and any sidewalks within the city?
Well, we're going to look at priority areas. So I think we're going to start with Broadway, and some of the downtown areas. We're going to start there. We're going to see how far we get. But if we have time, if we're making good progress, yeah, we could potentially map sidewalks throughout the city.
Okay, oh, good, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Adam,
the question.
yeah. So what was the dollar figure again that the city of Goldendale did?
$10,000.
Okay. Now, what if we need to do some repairs on the street? Is that gonna be included in looking?
Unfortunately not. This is just a mapping exercise right now. But in the future, if we identify those needs for repairs, as I say, it's our hope that this will support an application, like a grant application in the future, that would be able to fund those repairs. But unfortunately, the nature of this work through this program is just that mapping exercise.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Just for the sidewalks, what you
Just for the sidewalks.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Lauren.
Who's gonna be conducting the work? Is that gonna be staff or a consultant or RTC?
That's gonna be our public works crew.
And I noticed that this goes into a statewide OS Connect data set. I mean, do you have a standard process that's efficient, defined, so we're not starting from scratch, spending, I mean, $10,000 goes pretty quick. So it'd be nice if there's already a plan in place for how to conduct this work efficiently.
Yeah. We're the team at the university has been really helpful. They hold office hours once a week. Tomorrow, in fact, I'll be joining Jeremy for an office hour to talk about that process. They've set it up really easily though. It's all done through an app. So you have the questions and the prompts and they know exactly where you are and you just kind of go through and we'll fill it out as you go. We're hoping, I mean, as they say, MCED, the Mid-Columbia Economic Development District, they have just gone through the similar process. So I'm hoping that they've ironed out some of the issues. But what we're saying is that you should record your time. Things happen, people make mistakes, and there is a learning curve to anything. But we're accounting for that with this, and we will reimburse you for your time. Even if there is a learning curve involved.
Anybody else have a question for Adam?
Just have a comment, like we should definitely make sure we get into winter conditions into consideration, so that winter maintenance, because none of our sidewalks have winter maintenance, but if there's ways to incorporate that into future funding requests, something that's easily missed when in a summer survey, but very valuable for pedestrian transportation.
I think this will be a really good tool for us to have at our disposal is the thing. Once we have our sidewalks mapped out in this system, that'll just be one more tool that we have for when we need to apply for grants and just to help us out in the planning for our sidewalks. Yes, Danielle.
I just have one comment as well. So with our 6-year street plan and everything, I think that it would be advisable that we, after this is done, the research is done with the sidewalks, that we ensure that any of the streets that it affects that are on that 6-year street plan, that we are looking at that so that we could possibly get a grant at the same time as we could possibly fix the sidewalks, so that we're not duplicating efforts.
Gotcha.
I appreciate both of those comments.
Yes.
This has come up a lot around this table the last couple of years, so definitely getting a report back to city council on what the findings are, and hopefully we're able to be efficient and effective and get a pretty good map, of what's out there in the city. But I think we'd all be interested in hearing what the findings are.
Yeah, yep, we will keep you updated.
Yeah, if invited, I'd love to join you at a future council meeting and share some of what we've learned. As I say, I'm hoping that this process can go quickly. I appreciate you guys have a lot of work coming up, and I don't want to use any of your staff time that would conflict with anything else. Definitely interesting to hear about the winter conditions. I think that's a good thing to keep on my radar that I hadn't been thinking about. And I definitely also appreciate. Yeah, I'll be excited to come back and share some of what we learn. The way the system is set up, it lets you sort of figure out certain scenarios that could be quite interesting for a future plan. For example, it would let you figure out, how accessible it is for people that are of a certain walking disability or children, what the level of safety is, which could be useful information going forward.
Anybody else have any questions?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute a master interlocal service agreement with Southwest Washington Regional Transportation Council.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion to authorize the master interlocal service agreement. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. Appreciate it, and we look forward to this project getting underway. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's the 2025 West Darling Street Reconstruction Award. And at this time, I'll invite up Dustin Conroy to go over that with us. Thank you for being here, Dustin.
Yeah, you bet. So on May 21st, we had the bid opening for the West Darling Street construction project. Crestline Construction provided the lowest bid, and all the addenda and all the requirements were in their packet and received. Their total bid amount was $857,979.93. We also, after we received that bid, we received authorization to go ahead and award that from TIV, so everything's all set. So I recommend awarding it to Crestline Construction in that amount.
Thank you, Dustin. Anybody have any questions? Steve?
Is there gonna be a sidewalk
One sidewalk on the north side.
on the north side?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
Is this bid above, below, or right where it needs to be, or?
It was about 5% below the engineer's estimate, and so it was right where fully funded by
Yeah.
TIV, so.
Perfect,
it's good.
okay.
Does it change any of the intersections at the west end of Darling?
It does. So right now, Darling Street is not controlled. It's got a through path, but it will get a stop sign now. And Railroad Avenue will become the through street.
Oh, really?
So to direct people on the railroad coming in and out of town.
I move to award the 2025 West Darling Street Reconstruction Project to Crestline Construction Company LLC in the amount of $857,979.93.
Second. Go for it.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate it. Okay, next item on the agenda is a memorandum of understanding with Klickitat County for incubator space improvements. And I can answer any questions about this that you have, but the purpose of the memorandum of understanding is to provide funding to the city of Goldendale for work associated with the infrastructure improvements to the incubator space compensation to the city of Goldendale from the Klickitat County 0.09 funding is reimbursement basis for an amount not to exceed $116,693. Attached is the budget list and the project list. And any questions you had, I'd be more than happy to answer. This is a grant that the city applied for with help from the Klickitat County Economic Development Office. It's from the county's 0.09 sales tax that they collect that is specifically designed to be for economic development priorities. And you'll see the list of improvements that we've worked with the Public Works Department on and our engineers and have established these, and I think it's a good grant that we got. And
I move to approve a memorandum of understanding with Klickitat County to receive 0.09 revenue in the amount of $116,693.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Get to it here.
This is Mayor, comment.
Yes, sir.
For your next item.
Sure.
Just a note that the article in the paper last week about the previous city council was in error. We had provided an update to Collins and a decision on Collins, and Broadway was the item that hadn't been discussed yet and was pending approval. So just to make sure the community is aware that Collins thing was decided, we're going forward with the path, and Broadway is what's still discussed.
Correct. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, well, we just have this update on the West Broadway parking, and I'll let the Public Works Committee, if they want to, elaborate, but the Public Works Committee is continuing to identify and evaluate alternatives to address public safety concerns, snow plowing issues, street sweeping limitations, to determine the best solution for this primary transportation corridor. The city will work to identify the intersection in areas on West Broadway where curb setbacks need to be painted to improve line of sight issues in accordance with current city ordinances. And if anybody from the committee would like to elaborate, or if there was any questions, I'll open it up to the council.
I just have a question. When is the next meeting?
We haven't
Discuss
set
it.
another meeting yet. I have some work to do. We've identified a few. I got the paperwork here. So we have some work we're doing. We have our engineer, Mr. Conroy. We've got him to quantify and map number of parking spots on Broadway with the setbacks, number of new potential spots, and a variety of things that we're getting help on. We've reached out to the state to see what would be needed to, if the council decides to turn the intersection of Mill and Broadway into a four-way stop. That would simply be a request from the council by majority decision to request that from the state, and then they would move from there. And so, yeah, that's where we are now with the committee, and I'll open it up to any of the committee members that would like to elaborate. Steve?
With the setbacks, is that going to be with the 20 and 30 foot limitations we had discussed?
Yeah, that's what we've discussed, and we have some more discussion to do with the state, because upon further looking into it, I've looked into the state rules that there is between city and the state when it comes to state highways and who's responsible for what and what communication needs to happen there. So even that curb painting, that's going to be something that's going to have to be coordinated with the state there as well, because it's from curb to curb on that state highway is the state's responsibility. So we kind of got to work hand in hand with the state on that issue from my research, and I can provide what I found out about that to you. Yes, Laura.
I just want to say thanks, Dave, for all the work you're doing,
Thanks.
coordinating with state and staff. I mean, it's a lot to put together. It's really complex. There's a lot going on Broadway, with similar issues with Collins, and these are tough decisions. There's always gonna be some folks that are unhappy with it, but things like those trees coming down to open up the line of sight makes it safer for every man, woman, and child that goes through that intersection in a vehicle. And so even though there's a lot of pushback, like, we have to do our best to make hard decisions about the public safety. And like I said, you're doing an awesome job, so I appreciate that.
And it's important for us to do our due diligence on these kind of things and really look into all the ramifications. So I think the Public Works Committee is doing a good job there.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I have a comment, in front of the museum. Is there a chance we could put in there that, a school bus can still park on the north side? Or if they bring in a big bus, they can park on the north side that way, because it's gonna be difficult to park a big school bus maybe on the side somewhere. It would just be during, during daytime, so many hours, and it's not gonna happen that often.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's something for the committee to talk about, or is that gonna be something you have to talk to the state about?
No, that's a very good point. We
Okay.
definitely bring that up in our conversations and the Public Works Committee has identified some additional potential new parking places that we're working to identify that might be an answer to some of those issues as well.
So
Yeah. it's okay.
great job to the committee, because a couple tough, big decisions lately and lots of back and forth, so. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Unless there's anything else, we'll move on to the next item. Under resolutions, this is resolution number 745. It's an airport grant application phase 1. And a resolution is required to apply for a grant application with Washington State Department of Transportation Aeronautics to mitigate an existing wetland and extend an existing drainage culvert at the airport in support of future runway safety area and widening of the runway. And on the line, we have Corley McFarland, and in person here, we have Rick Lundeen that will be here to answer any questions you may have regarding this airport project.
I move to approve resolution number 745, authorizing the city administrator to sign the grant application documents with the Washington State Department of Transportation for the Airport Aeronautics Grant.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anybody have, yes, Lauren?
Do you guys have any thoughts on what the mitigation would look like or where that would occur at this point? Or are you just planning the grant and that's not part of the grant, work to be done?
Carly, you want to speak to that? Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good to be here again. Corley McFarland with Precision Approach Engineering. So we're thinking, we'll finish up the wetland delineation and get the design done to see the ultimate impacts, but we're somewhere around an acre of wetland impact. And what we would like to do, and the goal will be to mitigate that offsite, because typically wetlands, right, when they are storing water, are a wildlife hazard attractant. And so we try and move any wildlife
Corley, you got
hazard.
really, really quiet. Are you farther away from your microphone, maybe? Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you for letting me know, Sandy.
There you go. That's better.
See here. How's that now?
That's good. We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So anything that's going to attract and hold water is a potential wildlife hazard attractant, and that's not compatible with airport usage. And so the mitigation would be hoped to be offsite. And our sub-consultant has a couple ideas on where we might be able to do that mitigation.
What's the mitigation ratio for the 1 acre?
The wetland hasn't been fully classified yet, so we don't know what that is, but somewhere around a 2-to-1 type ratio.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions regarding this? We do have a motion and a second. Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
I meant to get an eye out there.
Okay, no
Fast
problem.
enough, sorry.
Okay, we got it, we got it. Okay, and we'll move on to the next resolution, and that's resolution number 746. That's the airport grant application phase 2. The explanation, a resolution is required to apply for a grant application with Department of Transportation Aeronautics to enhance runway safety and support future widening of the runway. And I'll hand this over to Coralie McFarland or Rick Lundin to explain further or answer any questions you might have about this resolution.
And I have an error in your motion. It says
Yeah.
745 should be 746.
Oh,
That's what I was just looking at.
Change that, so sorry about that.
What do we wanna talk about the work that we're talking about doing and the improvements we're gonna get?
Yeah, thanks, Rick. Is my audio still okay, Sandy?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. So this is a follow-on project, and you might ask, okay, why multiple phases? And this is a very large ultimate project, right? That'll result in widening the runway to 60 feet wide, which is in compliance with the FAA standards. And then we'll also, in conjunction with that, move the runway lighting out so that it's compatible with the new runway width, and then provide shoulders and runway safety area that meets the FAA standards. And so as we've broken this down into phases, the phases were selected to provide kind of sub units of work and then also be compatible with potential funding sources, which include the WashDOT Aviation grants that are offered up annually. And so this phase built along upon the resolution that was just passed. After the pipe is extended and the wetland is mitigated, then we can start to bring in engineered fill that'll be compacted to build up the safety area. For those of you that have been out to the Golden Dale Airport and familiar with it, right, there's very steep slopes off the edges of almost to the edge of the existing runway, very minimal shoulder. And so it'll bring in up to 15 feet of fill in the deepest areas as part of this phase to get ready for a future post phase 2 project that would result in the final shoulders, the runway widening to 60 feet, and the new lighting system.
excellent. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question. What's the total proposed cost for this phase of the grant application?
So the total cost is $780,000. WashDOT Aviation, if awarded, will pay 95% of that.
Any other questions or comments, or is there a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 746, authorizing the city administrator to sign the grant application documents with the Washington State Department of Transportation for the airport aeronautics grant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, but,
Yes,
Corley, say if we get this approved, how long would it be before we get the funding? Potentially. get the-
WashDOT will announce this grant application recipients July 1st, by July 1st this year.
Okay.
thank you. Anybody else have a discussion or question? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Corley. I appreciate your help with that. Thank you, Mr. Lundin. That's it. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is report of officers.
and just for.
Oh, sorry.
Just for the
Go
record,
ahead, Sandy.
Fiona is online now.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Hi, Theon. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we'll start over here with Mylan Walling.
Well, thank you, Mayor. No, like I previously mentioned, on Broadway with the trees out, I tell you, it's really a change. And I think, and we're working on getting the lots mowed around here, around town. And so it's happening. So I think we'll be able to, but hopefully by, when it really gets warm and dried out, we'll have most of these lots and cleaned up. So anyway, that's all I'll have. Mayor.
Thank you,
Thank
Mylan. Thanks, Danielle.
Just two things. One, thanks for the help for all the citywide cleanup. We didn't finish till after 4, as the mayor knows. He was involved with it, so thanks to you, Mayor. We were able to get a whole bunch of garbage and trash and furniture and you name it, out to the landfill to help out people that needed it or didn't have a way to do that. So it's appreciated. Any volunteers next year would be also appreciated, because I think there was 2 men and 7 women that did all of that on Saturday. And it was tough, but we did it.
Yes.
And so thanks for that. The other thing I want to say, the Goldendale sign down there, it looks great. So shout out to Brian Paul for that. Thanks again for donating your money to ensure that our little town looks better.
Yes, great. Thank you, Danielle. Andy.
I just want to wish everyone in the LGBTQ plus community and all of its allies a happy Pride Month.
Thanks, Andy. Lauren.
Yeah, the trees coming down on Broadway are great. Those were amazing, beautiful trees when they're fully alive, but great to have that safety issue resolved at that intersection. I was curious about when we talked about the Goldendale sign, we talked about putting another reader board up, possibly in front of the city or underneath the sign. Is that something that is still a consideration, just temperature and opportunity to have
No,
announcements?
if I could, the chamber is gonna put up a reader board sign
Back where on that,
on the street,
Okay.
on front of their office.
on in front of their office.
Front of
Okay.
their office, and it's gonna be a very nice one. And so, yeah, it's yeah, it looks very nice. It's a little spendy to get
Yeah.
it, but they decided to do that, which is great. One thing they mentioned when they said the temperature, they can now program to the main weather station, maybe Pendleton, whatever, and get the temperature. So they don't have to put the temperature, what the old one was, is it's inside the frame, and it was 10 to 15 degrees hotter inside than it was outside. So now they'll be able to get the information from Pendleton, and it'll read on the reader board sign. I guess.
That's probably a lot easier to maintain that way.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Mylon.
Thanks. Anything else, Lauren? Okay. Theon, did you have an update?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Thank you, Theon. No problem. Steve Johnston.
Just one thing, and that is to request a parks meeting.
Oh, a parks meeting in regards to the comprehensive parks plan?
In regards to the comprehensive plan, it's kind of
Yeah.
been lagging and laying and gathering dust. We're so close.
Yeah.
We really should try to wrap that up.
Yes, I agree. I communicated with Keaton Curtis from the Economic Development Office about that just less than a week ago. The city has provided him all of the information that he needed from us. He's got a few more bits of information that he needs to get from the parks swimming pool, from the swimming pool department. Once he gets that, he'll get a hold of me to get a meeting, and we should just be on the verge of wrapping that up once he works out a few more pieces of information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that takes care of that part of the comprehensive plan. I would still like to have a meeting, now we could call our public works meeting if you'd like. A number of issues that we have talked about that we want to address down there. We really need to move on them. Everything from the cameras to the bathrooms to more picnic tables, a couple more shade trees. I've been down there a number of times this summer because of the baseball. The grandkids playing baseball. And so we ended up over in the park. The water fountain's not even working. The water fountain in the baseball park is working, but not in the park part. It's broke. There's a number of small issues, and I was told that, like the toilet seat in the ladies' bathroom, somebody has put cigarette butts out all over it. And a number of small issues.
Do we have a full-time parks employee?
I thought we
Yes.
did.
We do. Okay.
But anyway, I would like to have a short meeting to discuss, to build a fire underneath some of these issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
We
maybe,
don't need that comprehensive plan to move on some of these.
and maybe to have a parks person go to that meeting as well would be advantageous. whenever it's done. Just
We'll
a
talk about that.
suggestion.
Is everybody from the committee here?
Harold was on it.
I'll send out an email.
Public Works and Parks is Theo, Lauren and Steve.
Yeah, if you guys would like to set up a meeting right now, I'm more than happy to get out my calendar and see when the good availability is. I can give you some updates on the grant process going through. I just had a meeting with Dustin about some of the park improvement. The grant opportunity that we're working on right now to knock that out. You want to elaborate on that, Dustin?
So the grant is basically just for Tony and Middle League Park, and
Yeah.
so we've got a map that covers certain improvements. That essentially the goal of that grant is to have projects that are permitted, not necessarily funded. And so that if someone comes to the city with money, or if the city has money for a specific project, they can grab one of those projects and fund it, and it's ready to go is the goal of it. And so we've got, part of what you discussed there is we've added, some park benches, some picnic tables. We talked about a covered, picnic area, underground sprinklers for the Little League fields, maybe future lighting for Little League fields. You know, and we talked about, the security cameras and how that's kind of already been addressed. And so that's kind of real quick what we're working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But be more than happy to set up a committee meeting if whatever is the best for you guys. We could do it over email, or we could set up a meeting right now.
One day this week, after what time, Theo?
I was gonna say, should we give them a week to maybe wrap up what they've been working on, or? Cause if maybe we could do it next Monday, I don't know.
If we don't do it this week, I'm not available until like the 23rd or 24th, so that's up to you two.
And besides that, the sooner we can get together and identify some of these issues, we can pass them on to you guys. And
Yeah, I think some of your issues might be like daily operations, where this grant is really to try and, create projects that are, or add items that are project permitted using funds, not, and so maybe you got some ideas that to add to that as well.
project permitted, what do you mean?
So essentially, you're through the permitting process, like cultural resource studies and that sort of thing, and the SEPA, and so it just needs to get funded, a funding source to pay for, let's say, picnic benches or something like that.
Well, sounds like a lot of extra paperwork actually, or whatever. I mean, what I'm talking about is improvements of what's already there. We're not adding it, except, there was a couple items that you mentioned, like the covered area and what have you. But most of the rest of them are just improving what's already there or adding to what's already there, such as lighting.
Is there a day this week you can meet, Theo?
This week, I'm still laid up with a pinched nerve in my sciatic. I've got physical therapy. I've doctor's appointments and physical therapy all week. As far as but you're not available next week.
No, I'm out of town. We could do an over the phone thing. I mean, come in and other folks can call in.
Sure.
Would that be okay?
This week I can do it if I can do it over the phone.
Okay, pick a day.
I'm available any day this week except for Wednesday. I'm full.
Thursday at 5?
Wednesday I've got physical therapy, so it'd have to be Tuesday or Thursday.
So Thursday at 5 o'clock? Are you available Thursday at 5?
Okay. Thursday at 5 for the park committee meeting.
Okay.
Good.
Can we get an update on any buffer resources work that's been done?
Absolutely. Okay, was that all, Steve?
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for another meeting, Steve.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that is open public comment. Is there anybody here or on the line that would like to make a public comment?
Roger?
Roger, yes.
Oh, just a second here. Let me turn my microphone on. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to pass on, you talked about getting the weather from Pendleton. We just got an announcement come through here last week that to cutbacks from the federal government, the Pendleton office will not be able to have anybody on overnight, starting very quickly. So it's going to reduce the quantity and the quality of their forecasts long term. Just heads up on that one.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Anybody else for a public comment? Anybody have their hands up on there?
Nope.
Okay, here and then we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. It'll be an executive session that we'll dismiss our audience for. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Danielle. Excuse Danielle for the executive session. Thank you, Danielle.
So then,
Thank you all.
Danielle has somewhere to be.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
As long as.
Well, I see where we rate.
Do you want to leave?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you guys all leave, then and I'll make a decision.
I need someone with a gun here.
There's not going to be a motion or anything, but, and she already knows my thoughts on it, so.
I was the favorite.
Unless you're using up.
You can leave it down with me. Yeah.
I just FYI.
And Sandy, is there paperwork for the executive session you'll have? Okay, you'll get that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.
Yes.
we have to say how long we're gonna go in and at that time before we end the recording.
How long is it gonna take?
So we need to know how long you wanna go into executive session. We can't go under the amount of time. I would say 10 to 15 minutes probably could cover it.
We could always extend it if we
We
need
can
to.
extend it, but you can't, but if we say 15 minutes, we have to sit here for 15 minutes. So I would say maybe 10.
Start off with
It's
10.
a pretty quick thing just to have a discussion.
We can always extend it.
So we can say go in at 6:51 for 10 minutes.
I guarantee you need at least 15.
You think 15?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
can say 15 minutes starting at 6:51.
Sure.
Okay, and so now you can end the recording.
Is there anyone in the office?
No, that's the scan. Okay.